Good morning. I always sit in my seat and my legs on the table. When I was a kid, my mother scolded me for doing that, but it's actually excellent for you to do that. As I think I mentioned yesterday about this woman who told me to stop chewing gum. She actually passed by in her car, and she went, and we get a lot of characters here, I'm telling you. My heritage, by the way, is in the United States. My great-grandfather was born in Rome, New York State. He was a ship's captain, and he fell in love with a Torontonian lady. The reason why I brought this forward, and I was going to wait a few more days in doing this, because I forgot to do something, and it's to explain how JD Neat got to be JD Neat. It originally began as Jack Daniels with a twist. Jack Daniels plays a big role in this. If you open my site, the first page you're going to see is Jack Daniels with a JD Neat, and underneath it says Timothy McManus is the writer. It's me. The whole thing is mine. So I'm going to read you a very small, slight synopsis. It is very funny, and I love things funny, but absurd funny. So it goes this way. J.D. Neat, a memoir written by Timothy McManus. A synopsis of J.D. Neat requested by MIT, Harvard, and Cambridge to perform a logic study of J.D. Neat. This study was awarded to Professor G. N. Dubinsky, a distinguished scholar of logical linguistics at the University of St. Andrews. The whole thing of it. J.D. Neat takes place in New York City and primarily deals with, now this is a Russian name and I cannot pronounce this, honest to God. Any Russian or someone who is familiar with Russian last names will know it like that. I can't. So I'm just going to call him Nick because that's his middle name. It's a Russian first and last name, but he's referred to as Nick, so we're just going to call him Nick. One of the world's most talented con artists. While serving time in prison, Nick meets Scarce, the idiot savant, a heartless nickname given to him by a disrespectful police officer. In time, Nick steals one of Scarce's brilliant manuscripts. Timothy McManus narrates J.D. Neat, and from the very beginning admits his life is little more than an absurd farce. While working as a sludge pile reader, very rare to find anymore, for a prominent New York City-based publisher, he reads an unsolicited manuscript entitled Kid Patagonia. I always thought it was a good title, Kid Patagonia. After reading the entire manuscript from the first page to the last, a rare thing for Timothy to do, he concludes that it is the most brilliant bit of writing he has read in his entire life. Shortly after recommending Kid Patagonian for immediate publication, Timothy is surprised to discover that he has become caught up in the middle of a significant fraud. Already disheartened by the corporate greed around him, which is strengthened by his passion for Jack Daniels, old number 7, Timothy takes Nick under his wing and teaches him how to behave like the literary genius he isn't. They are seated in a sleazy bar in Queens, having tossed back numerous shots of JD, when an extremely drunk Timothy decides to change that Russian name to uh, Jack Daniels as his name, in the honor of the beverage Timothy has always considered to be God's most honest creation. The day before the launch party for Kid Patagonia, Nick provided Timothy with the most recent manuscript, Awakenings, which he has also stolen from Scarce. Although Timothy is aware that Nick is a con artist who has obviously stolen both manuscripts, at this point Timothy does not know that the real genius is Scarce the Idiot, who wrote both brilliant books. After reading Awakenings, Timothy once again concludes that this is the finest bit of writing he has ever read. And Nick's growing number of reader fans are convinced that he is a literary phenomenon, a genius above all geniuses. Nick's meteoric rise peaks and subsequently declines while he is living in Berlin, Germany. To face up to his criminal past, Nick writes his biography, which he titles Legitimate, Finally, the Honest Confession of a Jack Daniels. Should never misspell a word like that. I personally love it myself. Who never existed at all. In this manuscript, Nick confesses that he, Nick, deliberately stole both Kid Patagonian and Awakenings from Scarce the Idiot. As Timothy predicts, when Jack Daniels fans learn that their literary god is a fraud and that the real genius is Scarce the Idiot, their adoration quickly changes to confusion, then absolute rage. After Nick confesses that he is a fraud, the media seizes on the opportunity and unmercifully tear Nick apart. Unfortunately, causing one of Jack Daniels' former fans to believe it is his moral right to shoot Nick dead. Timothy ends in JD neat with a summary of what happens to each of the major characters. Realizing that he doesn't have the emotional strength to take care of Scarce the Idiot and his young daughter Zoe, which I named the publishing company, by the way, Zoe. Why not? Timothy convinces Miss America's mother to take both under her wing. As Timothy mentions in the beginning of J.D. Neat, life itself is a series of chapters. As the new chapter begins, Timothy says adieu to an El Key Hall and walk towards his unknown future. Maybe. That's Timothy McManus. And that is the story. It's a very funny story. And I'm telling you about it to explain how I got involved in J.D. Neat and Jack Daniels and so on. You'll see some bits and pieces on decorative that I use. It's meant as I trust the the executives of that company should appreciate what I'm doing. It's excellent advertising for them. You couldn't get better. So that's what I meant to tell you today, because I forgot to do this in the very beginning. So I'm going to thank you very much for listening, and you will hear me in time. Thank you for listening.